massage therapy practice in Steamboat Springs. And today I'm here with Caitlin, our lovely model, to do a draping video. One of the things that I've noticed as I've had people come in for interviews is that therapists who are fresh out of school tend to have a little bit of difficulty with efficiency when draping and just ease and comfort. And so I just wanted to go over a few things that I think can be practiced and learned and help new therapists increase their skills around draping. So before I get into the draping aspects of everything, I also wanted to talk about a couple of personal hygiene type things. So one thing, if you have long hair, make sure that you're tying your hair up before you do a massage. There's nothing more creepy than having a therapist's hair drape across your body as you're getting a massage. And creepy might be a word that you hear me use a lot today in this video, just because I think that a lot of times when we aren't draping efficiently and with confidence, that it comes across as creepy. And the last thing that we want in the massage industry is for anything to feel creepy. We have enough of that without perpetuating it on our own. The other thing that I wanted to address was the shirts that you wear as therapists. So while we don't want to have really tight fitted shirts, especially as women with curves, we don't want loose fitting clothes either, because that again may drape across the client's body and again feel creepy. So I'm just going to get started with Caitlin in the prone position, kind of going through some efficient ways to drape. One of the first things that I see a lot of therapists do is when they're opening for the back, they'll fold down, and then a lot of times I'll see people messing around with tucking under the hips. And this is just completely unnecessary. It's okay to have the drape just open and loose like that. You can work the body, and I think it's very infrequent that a client would feel like they needed things tucked in. It eliminates a step, so you can spend more time working on the body. The next draping technique that I wanted to show you involves draping for the glutes. So I think that a lot of times as new therapists we avoid the glute area just because it's kind of a little intimidating, which I totally get. But it's there's a lot of muscles in our glutes that need a lot of work often. Can be tied to lower back pain. A lot of times in childbirth our hips get out of whack, so it's an area that really needs to be addressed. So one of my favorite draping techniques for the glutes is to actually start working on them from the upper half of the body. So what I like to do is pull up the drape and then do a triangle drape where I expose most of everything here. And then I'm able to get in with my forearm and do some work this way and do some nice trigger point work, and just really make sure that I'm addressing these muscles up here that can get neglected, especially if we're just draping from below. So I'll do a drape like this on the upper part of the body, and then we'll get into the glutes too when we go down the lower part of the body. So another thing that I find with students fresh out of school is that a lot of schools don't teach how to drape with blankets. So this is something to definitely practice, because out in the real world, especially where we live in a snowy area, it gets cold and people want blankets on top of them. It's a security thing, it's a warmth thing. Just a good idea to get real practiced with using blankets. So the first thing I say is to always move the blanket over first for the lower half of the body. once it's out of the way, it just makes it easier to deal with the sheet. Then just grabbing the corner of the sheet and just quickly moving between the feet and then up, and just one quick tuck in here and you can expose the glutes again. So it's a pretty quick process to just expose things, make sure that we're not cutting off big chunks of the hamstrings and glutes, make sure that we're able to access all of this area really efficiently. And just a simple one tuck there and just kind of pull up here. Again, I don't think that it's necessary to tuck underneath the belly. I think that feels really creepy. The belly's a very sensitive, personal area. So avoiding that I think is really wonderful. And then in terms of pulling it out, all you have to do is grab the bottom and just pull, and it comes loose. And then bringing that down again. So I think that kind of covers it for the prone position. So now I'm going to have Caitlin flip over to the supine position. So go ahead and flip and scoot down, Caitlin. Thank you. I know a lot of therapists will take out the bolster when they have the clients flip over. One thing that I find is that where the bolster ends up lining up is usually pretty close to where it needs to be. So I don't take out the bolster. Again, I think it just takes a lot of unnecessary time, and I don't think that it creates that much of an unpleasant experience for the client to have it there when they flip over, unless they have some sort of an issue going on that really affects their mobility. So one of the first things that I like to do when I have my clients flip over is sometimes these blankets can be kind of up around their neck, and I just like to make sure that that we're not choking them. So I like to just pull it down kind of right below their clavicle, so that they're feeling like they can breathe and covered and tidy, but that they're able to breathe. So I'm gonna start down with the lower limbs again for draping. Again, for the lower limbs, I always like to move the blanket aside first. So getting that out of the way so I just kind of don't have to deal with it. And then again, just quickly pulling it in and tucking it under and bringing it up. And again, this is another area up here that if we're really conservative in our draping and we drape real far down and we have the drape across here, we miss all of these attachments for the quads that are just so important up in this area. So making sure that all of that is exposed. Sometimes we can do some nice moves when it's open like that, where we come into the lower back and are able to kind of do some traction and nice pulls up in here, which feels really great on the lower back. And then again, just quickly grabbing and pulling out. So for the upper body, really, the only things really are this fold down and then accessing the arms. So, I'll just reach under and kind of grab hold of the wrist and the hand and just kind of pull it out and have my way with Caitlin's arm. And then we're bringing it back in, just lift and gently slide in there. One thing I'm not going to go over today, but maybe we can go over at a different time, is draping for if we're doing psoas work and we're exposing the belly to get into that work. Usually what I do is I'll take a pillowcase to cover the breasts, and it's a little bit technical to do that without exposing anything, so maybe in a different video we can go over that. The last thing that I kind of wanted to address was oftentimes with new therapists what I'll see is the hair of the client, that they won't move the hair, and the hair will get underneath their arm, and then they're doing mobility things where they're tractioning and moving, and the hair gets stuck and it hurts. It really hurts when the hair gets stuck and the therapist is trying to work those areas. So one thing that I like to do first thing when I come to do any neck, shoulder, pec work is to just move all of the hair out of the way. So I'm not resting my arms and pulling on any of Caitlin's hair. So that's about all I have for draping techniques. Thank you guys for your time, and I hope this was helpful. You learned something, and please feel free to reach out if you have any questions or thoughts. Thanks.